I'll just say, if this, if council wants to, move forward with like a negotiations with them, and I don't think they're willing to go there, to tell you the truth, so.
Well, there's a negotiate.
Well, I know there isn't on our end, but again, it's like they keep bringing across, it's not about money, it's about kids.
It is on our, because we're a municipality.
Well,
Nobody knows that more than me, I'm just saying what they're telling me. So I was hoping that if we could get a guarantee of $15,000, that we would be happy.
And their registration looks like it's closed. Closed 2 weekends ago, the 4th.
They're still doing registration though.
That's not the, you gotta go on the,
This is the minutes from,
Says tomorrow and Saturday, final walk-in registration for spring, February 3rd, 6 to 8, February 4th, 10 a.m. I'm just looking at the Facebook page.
alright, this is as of,
I was looking.
I have their one report from January's meeting, they haven't had a February meeting yet. As of November,
Start registration.
they had 97 baseball players registered and 27 softball registered,
So they count and so forth.
okay? They had
224 in all leagues.
224 players?
No, 224, February 24th.
Out.
Registration.
Right, this letter says participants. By participants, I assume they mean those
Players.
people
Players.
who not only baseball, but softball. A participant
Correct.
is somebody who participates in this.
Everything is
So
on
they
there.
gotta count all those folks.
So they
It's
have,
baseball and softball, but they want to do no charge for T-ball.
well, again, they have, this is what they have, minor baseball, major baseball, intermediate baseball, junior baseball, senior baseball, transition softball, minor B softball, minor A softball, major softball, junior softball, senior softball.
Those are the participants. Those are the
Wait,
participants.
then you have your intermediate, junior, oh, you just said intermediate, and then
I
you have your
thought we turned
travel,
in Williamsport.
and then you have your travel ball, which is different.
I don't know that we, I don't know where we stand on that.
I saw that.
Because travel teams are only gonna play so much in this borough.
Playing
They
around
can
with
practice
the camera
here,
to figure out what I
they're
can
probably
do.
gonna play half their games here.
So that's, wait, I don't understand, that's
So
not
that might
part
need to
of
be
it.
spelled out in the memorandum as well.
They're separate from the league, is what you're saying?
No, they're the same
No,
players.
Travel's
I'm just
included.
playing
I'd
with the
imagine
effects.
a lot of those players are both.
Sure they are. They're saying, I'm
Probably
using the
playing.
word participants, which means everybody who participates in Little League is what they're talking about. And they're gonna give you so much ahead for participants.
Now, as
Are
of,
they part of the little league though?
as of the December meeting, they had, baseball was down last year. They had 129 for baseball, last year they had 156, and softball they had 69 last year and 38 this year so far. But that was as of December 15th.
If the concern is that we're not gonna get money, you could also put in language that whichever one is largest, either pay by head or whichever.
I don't think they're gonna agree to that.
See, and again, I understand we hold everything on our side. And believe me, I went toe to toe with him over this, and, you know, he kept coming back with, you know, Bob, it's about the kids, you know, again, they brought up things that, you know, that I wasn't even aware of, but I said, hey, well, we can charge you for that too, and they're like, oh, there you go. So, again, I thought our goal, basically was to get an agreement in place where at least we were gonna get the 15,000. I thought that was what council voted on. Now, this year, if you, like, we could have said, no, well, next year will be 16,000. However, you know, I think they're gonna do better than 350. I think they're gonna do 400 or something. So if you look at what's gonna happen in the fall, I mean in the spring, plus the
that if there is a fall league,
Well, they're saying that because I guess it's about handing over the schedule. They're not gonna do away with football, please.
just remember, they may be saying that they have 400 and something kids, but let's say 50-something of those kids are T-ball. They don't want us
As I said, that's
To
the lower head
charge-
count.
that $15 or $30 per child for the T-ball.
If they say that.
Well,
So,
again, what my fear was is
what your
that,
calculation may be, you just have to minus out if we agree to not charge them for the T-ball players. Because remember, they have intro to T-ball, transition, and T-ball.
well, you're aware, you go to the meetings, that's why, like, a lot of the information that I had came from Mrs. Larison, and I utilized them issues, and actually, they talked about that, you know, we can't hide anything, because you have people that are watching us, so I said, well, you know, we do, I mean,
All
we
three
have the right
Go
to,
in there.
out of this agreement, we have a right to say you broke the agreement, boom, we're out.
Oh,
I mean, we control all the cards.
and actually, if we invest in these T-ballers,
Right.
they become $30 investments for
Exactly.
6 years after that, 5 years after that.
But everybody has to agree.
Who knows?
You're saying there's three different divisions of T-ball?
Well, you have-
They want to count everything as T-ball?
You have T-ball, you have transition.
I think transition is after T-ball.
Is that after
I
T-ball?
believe so.
So then you have intro to T-ball, and then you have T-ball. Intro to T-ball is for
3-year-olds, 3 and 4.
4 to 5-year-olds. That's your intro to T-ball, first-year players. Really cute games too, if anybody wants to go and watch.
T-ball's pretty cute.
And then you have your T-ball players, which is your 6 and 7-year-olds. Unless they're able to move up to that transition if they're really like that good of a player, which some kids are, I mean, they're phenomenal. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying you have your intro to T-ball players and you have your T-ball players. So you have your,
It makes sense for both them and
Right.
us to not charge them.
you know, your 4, 5, and 6s, and then you have your 6s and 7s.
I know when I was 4, I was
But
playing
they'll-
soccer.
On their
Wasting my time.
rosters, they'll have it listed as, this is a T-ball player, this is an intro player. You know what I mean? They have it listed because they have to give, they have to give that schedule to their coaches, so that the coaches can email out to the teams and the parents as to when practices and things like that.
Where we
Let me make a
So-
suggestion.
They have to give that to you.
Hey Bob, do you have the notes down as to what we talked about? How about we write them a letter back?
Are we writing them a letter, or are we writing the
No, I'm
solicitor a
saying we
letter?
write them and say, these are the terms under which you can play and argue. We take this letter that they wrote for the payments and all that, because that, I think that's sufficient. And then you add in that letter, in addition, this is what we expect you to do if you wish to continue playing upon our.
And which would be a roster.
And we don't have to get into the schedule, we don't involve lawyers and spending money to have a
What's that?
Declaration of Independence and another,
From what it looks like to me.
what do you think, Bill?
But is that
Keep it
considered-
simple.
So they can even have it.
I just don't want
No,
Well, we
All
tell them,
because they've already given us their word.
we tell them, we accept what you wrote in here as far as payments go, but these are the other conditions that you will use our fields under.
so we're
Just
gonna,
send in the letter.
so we're just making, that's our memorandum of understanding?
That's
that's
what
on
I was
here,
setting the
or
letter,
we're just
these
having
are, these are
somebody
the conditions you're gonna use our field. If you don't abide by these conditions, you don't use our field. What?
Lock it up.
Lock it up.
And then if they give us a schedule, if they're down there
Well, that's part of,
outside of the
But that would
schedule,
be
that's
part
part
of
of the other things you put in the letter. We shall receive a schedule, of the, you know, et cetera, however you wanna, whatever words you wanna use.
so hard.
Of all activities
Do it
pursuant
the
to
right
this
way for a
agreement,
change.
or this, right?
Why?
And
Just start now.
the other use of skills tournaments is separate, that's a separate fee schedule. It's in our fee schedule. I just, I don't know, so we're paying attorney for them, to make it legal. Any other municipality gonna make it legal?
I don't, I understand what you're saying, I do, but I think it should be a legal binding.
I mean, if nobody's come forward from the league to speak to you, who are we sending over?
Yeah,
they've never even come, nobody's, the president of the league hasn't come to you and say.
He sent his lawyer.
Right, so, no, I
They
mean,
sat down with us last year and they agreed at this table.
They never
give us
brought
rosters
anybody,
and
said they were gonna do.
And they were with them.
And they were, they
Well,
also
I think
agreed.
I think we're at the point where we just say, look, you just shut it down and see what they do, and then they don't wanna abide by what, because I believe, like I said, we could go back and forth all day. I can't speak on behalf of council, so every time they're gonna be coming back at me, I'm gonna have to say, well, I have to go to council.
We
They
can
don't
authorize
have
you
to,
to do
if we
that.
put it in a memorandum, they have to, because you're being told by the council what to do.
This is what we want.
This is
Well, that's what I'm
want.
saying, so far we
They
have
a drawing,
rosters
they
and
gotta sign it.
schedules,
Yeah,
and
and that
we
date,
want
a date for
we want a
fall.
And your
formal
fall
agreement.
ball.
Yeah.
In the form
and a
of
document
formal
that
agreement.
Tony DeMario and I sign
Right.
every season, or whoever the president of this body is, whoever the president of that body is.
I mean, I think it should be something that has to be signed every season.
Every fall and spring season,
No, for,
once a year.
right, once a year.
So, okay, well, what I'll do then, I mean, if we're gonna write up an agreement, I think that it should, if we're gonna
You all need to see a copy.
pursue, it, we're gonna have to come up with something legal. Because really,
Well, it's pretty basic, we already have it all in our fee schedule, and we have what they have, and what we want,
without
so
having a
we'll-
contract.
I'm telling you, what I'm saying, they're telling me they cannot afford it. I mean, again, like I said, I don't know how many times I went back and forth just to
Oh,
get.
tournaments is what-
I just went over their Facebook page and I didn't see a tournament advertised
Not yet.
as far back as last
They're
July.
usually last minute, but they had them.
So I'm just not sure,
Well, you could say
So-
tournaments
Go back
will be
further.
billed separately under the following.
but I'm in a meeting.
Or is it?
Yeah.
We have a fee schedule for it already.
Okay, so then you can actually put in there,
Would be in the fee schedule.
if you, in future time or date, whatever, decide to do tournaments, this will be your fee schedule for a tournament. Follow the fee
Okay,
schedule.
I just want you to, again, I wanted them to pay us $15,000 for the last year. Yeah, however,
We just
under
talked
this
about
agreement, like I calculated, we'll be getting more than maybe 15,000 plus tournaments, which I couldn't even get that from them.
It shouldn't be a fight, that's the problem.
And I understand that, Debbie, but we're in like, there's a time period where they already committed to this year. It's no fault of ours, however, the end result is we lock up the gates, and then it becomes bigger than I think anybody's
You
really
gotta go
gonna
back and
want.
negotiate more. You're just
I'm
gonna
only
tell them
saying
So
that
is-
to
is-
protect,
Is
you
the
know, this.
biggest thought on this right now is the tournaments? Is
At
that,
250,
is
it'd
the
be-
tournaments?
And I'm of a mixed mind on that, because we're gonna be bringing in people that aren't normally gonna come to Morrisville. to tournaments.
But they're here for nothing, that's the thing. They're here for nothing, and if you do that, you waive that, how are you gonna charge anybody else? You got the color run, you're gonna charge them for that, that's a day event. It's the same thing, you're giving a free pass for usage of your field, and you've got a loaded fee schedule in your budget.
That's fine, if that's how this council sees it, I think we're bringing in a bunch of people who wouldn't normally come to Morrisville for this tournament. If we're charging them for it, they might not hold
Why
up.
don't we just vote, shouldn't we just at least take a vote on this and then if people are in disagreement, we'll just, if we're gonna accept this.
There's nothing to vote on, don't.
So I don't think they're, well, that's, I don't think they're gonna
Make
change
some
it.
additions.
Alright, I'm just saying.
But it's-
I think you can go back
The additions
to-
are nothing
I don't think they're
that
gonna-
we haven't discussed with them before. The additions are nothing that we haven't discussed with them before, which was the schedule and the roster.
Did we get it? No.
Well,
Why is that okay?
Alright, well, I'm
That's
just.
a condition of using the fee.
That's why.
I mean, you have to see the roster in order to determine the amount.
Well, I think they're agreeing to give us the rosters.
Get it in writing.
Doesn't mean they're gonna give it to you. He's saying walk away.
He's not even their attorney, you're accepting his word,
Yeah,
and he's not even retained by them.
he's out of here, you say.
Well, that was the point he made. You see it at the bottom.
Right.
Well, that's just, that's the.
That's a disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer says I'm out of here after this. I wrote this.
He don't even have a kid playing ball, so he did this for a friend.
Right.
And like I said, I told him in the beginning, I said, shouldn't I be talking to, the chairman of the baseball league? And he goes, well, they brought me in to do it for them. And again, like I said, that, get to this, it was brutal.
What's that?
Tony,
Well, that was the thing, was we didn't sit down with them, then you offered all year long several
Well, we
times.
did sit down with them,
at
and
this
what do
point,
we
they
get
still
out of it?
aren't.
Nothing. I sent them invoices, I left phone messages. I mean, like I said, I think that, you know, again, I'm just gonna do what council instructs me to do, but I'm just saying that I believe they're gonna say, well, we're not gonna do that, and then we're gonna have to
they're
lock
not
the
gonna do, no,
gates.
we're agreeing to
Well,
most of their stuff.
We'll just let them know, we need to do this.
We
As
need their
responsible
schedule for other people that wanna
government
use our
entity, we need
parks.
to
All
have.
right, I'll
And
just,
you need the
Document.
roster to determine how many,
You're talking about
you know,
well, I'm just
players are
pointing
getting
them out.
charged
They
$30.
just-
I mean, what
their
if they make
whole
a
feeling
mistake
is
and
that,
charge $30 to a person that should be only 15?
They, I was saying, their opinion is this shouldn't be like a business transaction, this should be a community wanting to support baseball. That was their feeling and how this whole thing started.
Yeah, but you know,
60 years.
I agree, I need the money, but like I said, this is gonna just,
Real estate. We don't have
you
access
should
to
know,
it.
I need to negotiate, I'm telling you, I was on 2 phones, people yelling at me and saying, oh, Bob, you're wrong, this is about kids. And I'm like, I understand it's about kids, but the borough needs money.
Well, tell them to cut
It's
their
about
fee.
land.
Yeah, tell them to cut their fee. if it's
Well, that's
about-
the main issue, is that, again, they knew we were requesting money, and when I asked the lawyer, I said, can I ask you one question? When they put the amount for the registration in this year, did they account for the borough side? And they said, no. I said, well, that was their first mistake.
The third mistake is they probably did it last year and the year before too.
Right, they did
I don't
not
understand why they would do this.
put that.
They know for 3 years.
But I think that's why they want us to not charge them for T-ball.
Well, again, like I said, the whole
Because
point of
they-
it is, they really believe they don't want to pay
I think that's a
$15,000.
good investment.
It is, it is, it is. You know, I have-
Everything else, yeah.
Especially if other leagues are off.
Well, if we're compensating that for them, then they should be getting free pass on the tournaments, they just should, because they're gonna lower the registration, I understand that, because the little kids aren't playing on the regular league. But they should now be doing tournaments and getting all their money, and we don't get anything for it.
Well, that's what I'm
That's
saying,
all of our land
you know,
use.
put in
They're
there.
they're on that park, a large amount of our park, from, what, they won't go year round. I mean, it goes in November.
I thought
Well, I'm just saying that,
But that wasn't, I don't think that anybody's arguing against that.
what,
So it was just,
we'll do.
So we done with that?
So when they see it on TV, they know at least I tried to negotiate. It was the same kind of negotiation.
For the most part, we're in line with what they're saying. We just want something formal.
I mean,
Will that be on the agenda next week or we?
I
would
hope
say
so, but
Okay.
like I said, if it doesn't, then the next step is we lock the gates.
We've got 3 meetings before we go,
right.
so I'm confident.
Well, there's, no, the 24th is the end of the registration.
But before they have their opening day, I'm sure they're gonna be practicing before.
Because they're gonna schedule a cleanup for the fields, which they do every year for the parents, and the parents.
Can you, like, put that in downstairs so that we get that in our packets? Because I would attend that, I just never know when it is.
Yeah, so it's, we have a meeting this, well, I wanna say Thursday, I'll double check my calendar. But yeah, I mean, they schedule, you know, when a lot of the families come out and they clean up the fields and they fix anything that they see, and they do have two gentlemen now that are like field maintenance for them. Anything that's the borough, they bring it to the meeting, I usually write it down, there was a problem with the one fence, I brought it to Bob's attention right away. I sent him a message and said, this is a problem with this fence, it needs to be fixed. You know, so they know, and I gave them Bob's email, if field maintenance people have, you know, any problems with anything that's ours, please email our borough manager and let him know immediately. But they do, they go down, they clean up leaves
Audience,
and
please.
debris and anything that's left over from the winter, so. But yeah, as soon as I find out, I'll let you know.
We vote on into March, if we don't have this done, I just don't wanna be, I wanna know.
And we can vote at our agenda meeting in March too. As soon as we have it ready, I think it's our obligation to let the league know that we've got what we need to get.
Okay.
So hopefully that's on the agenda in a week.
Or they'll be annoying on another late night.
So the only other things on the agenda for next week are a motion to pay the bills and two pieces of minutes, one December 30th and one January 17th. And then tonight, we have this resolution.
I didn't get the January 17th minutes.
I thought we did get them on the
Yeah,
3rd.
we got them. They're on your thing.
And also there'll be, last month's agenda meeting in there as well. I don't know if we have to vote on them.
Yeah, they're minutes, so we've got to approve them.
I have, sorry, the way it was put in there.
See it now?
You got them.
They were January 20th, I believe. No, that, yeah, that could be it.
Oh, there it is, sorry.
All right.
I got it.
Yeah, but we can review them. Or you vote on them next week. The resolution I have is a resolution of the Borough of Morrisville, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, increasing the annual salary of the elected borough tax collector to $6,700 pursuant to the provisions of the Pennsylvania Local Tax Collection Law, repealing all inconsistent resolutions or parts thereof, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Would you like me to read this resolution in full?
You need a motion?
I need a motion.
Wait.
Well, I'll make the motion first and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we pass that resolution.
May I have a second?
Second. What I was gonna say was, is it a resolution if it's done by an ordinance? The salary is done by an ordinance, it says here. Are we amending an ordinance or is it a resolution?
They said a resolution, I don't know how it's.
I have it as a resolution. I've heard from both you and Danielle that it should be an ordinance.
That's ours, it's on the books. So I'm saying, isn't it an amended ordinance?
Well, that's what she requested, that's what we did.
Who requested?
Tax collector.
A resolution?
You know, this, for me, I don't know how to step with this thing, because it's kind of political type thing. I mean,
Not
we're
really,
not
because
supposed
this is
to.
for the position, not for.
Yeah.
Right. It
But
doesn't
you don't know-
affect.
And
You know,
in office, it's up for election this year.
Right,
And that's why it has to be done tonight, because you
Right.
can't do it after the 15th.
right.
And it's not for this year, it's for next year.
How did the $6,700 come in total? What that amount?
Actually, by law, we could approve, an amount no greater than 5% of the taxes that are brought in. So,
It's not based on the value of the property, so it's
No,
the value
it's
of the fund.
It says the tax.
Well, the taxes are based on the
How is
value of
this
the
saving
property.
us money?
Taxes.
We told us we'd save
The
us money.
5%, what is that, is it 5%?
the amount of
It says
taxes we
select
bring in.
For each unit.
5%.
What is unit?
No greater than 5%.
No greater than 5%.
Is the unit the mill?
Yes, I assume so.
Okay, so let me tell you something then. When this was increased the last time, it was increased in 2010. And I have the, budget from back then.
Where is that? What's the,
And the millage back then, when that was increased, was at 62,227. Our millage, because of our homes depreciating, has actually gone down. So at that time, they gave a $500 increase. It went from 3,500 to 4,000, which is what it is now. So if that's what you're going by, I mean, I have no problem if there's some kind of an increase, but I think $2,700
Well,
is
from
compared to
what-
500.
From what.
When the
it was
millage is down?
Well, what was brought across to me, if, you want to amend that amount, we can amend that amount. This was just a request at that amount.
We get less.
You want to give less, you
You've
give
got a
less.
motion.
Yes, I'll amend the
You have a
resolution.
But I,
conversation with the motion
you know,
Well, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
Our
okay.
millage is down.
I am not in a position to argue the amount, whatever amount.
Because if you take the 5% of the
Yeah,
millage,
yeah, back then our millage was higher.
I don't know. that
Our
it's
millage-
necessarily
the
based off
assessment was.
That's
what
my
Bob said,
question.
but I don't know
According
that
to
it-
what
right.
the county assessment is. So the
Yeah.
county assessment back then, when we gave the increase last time, was at 62,227.
Well,
2010.
If they want to, you want to do 6,200, you can do 6,200,
And right
it's
now,
what you
our-
vote on.
Assessment is at
We have a motion on the floor already.
61,735, and we just got a new thing from the county, and it actually has gone down again.
it's 61,649,960.
in your packet this past week about your assessments. So that was my thing, was how is that coming up with $6,700, it's $2,700 increase?
No, my thought on this,
Again, I think she went around and went to boroughs or communities that are the size of ours, and that's what they
Yeah, that's
received.
And some of those ones that are mentioned, I looked them up and their millage is actually up, was up the.
Well, then, give me another figure, I'll amend my motion.
But I just wanted to know, is that 5% based off of,
The mills, what I'm
It's
taking.
the amount of taxes that we bring in.
Per unit, that's what I'm saying, when it says per unit in that paperwork that we got, the ordinance paperwork, then I'm assuming that's the mill, correct? Because otherwise, if you took 5% of what we collect in overall taxes, you'd be making more than you'd be taking on your salary.
that's in,
Well, I believe
The ordinance, correct.
Falls Township tax collector is probably about 5%.
Here, it's just right here, Boroughs and Secretary Townships.
It's a bigger township. But anyhow,
But
this
their mill
again is
would
for the office, not for the person.
Right,
If
exactly.
you don't know who's gonna win this election, I don't know who's gonna.
yeah, let me ask you, if you couldn't find someone to run for the position, why would you increase it? If there's always people running for the position, I think it should just, I mean, if you couldn't get anybody to run for the position, then I would understand raising it. That's my,
Well, again, that's why this don't go into effect till 2018.
Right.
So if nobody does something this year,
that's.
that's, we're locked in for,
For 4 years.
again,
And I'm sure it's down
saying
public
if,
posts,
if
sending out
council
trash
wants
bills,
to
it's not
reduce
just.
it,
I think that's what it's gonna answer, I think that's separate.
Oh.
It is.
Well, I guess it's part of the
This
labor.
is just for her actual salary from us. And well, if I'm wrong, I'm not sure, but I think she gets separate from the school,
Yes.
right? And separate from the county, is what she does for
No, I
that.
think this is county and us.
Oh, this
does
is,
she get a
I don't
separate,
know. No,
does
this
she
is-
I
get
don't know how
separate
they
from
pay.
the school tech? Do you know?
I just want to understand all that.
From
so.
the school, she does get, there is a different formula.
So is this,
Which I don't
Is-
believe they.
This is just the borough. And
so
I-
this
she
6,700
said that
is
you
just
can amend the
from
amount.
us?
It wasn't her, she just felt that it hasn't been changed in so many years, and that this is the last shot to do it.
For whoever.
So next time will be in 2019.
But this is all just because of the added work from
Yeah.
the garbage.
Again,
But she's actually-
no, this has nothing to do with
No,
it.
I'm saying this is what she's,
No, it's got nothing to do with the garbage.
You want me to read the rest of this resolution? It's got some of the figures in there. It's whereas Morrisville Borough has established the salary of the elected borough tax collector, which is currently $4,000 per annum. And whereas the Pennsylvania Local Tax Collection Law, 72 PS 5511.1 ETSEQ, specifically 72 PS 5511.35 A1, provides that the compensation of the elected tax collector in a borough shall be fixed by council and shall not exceed 5% of the amount of borough taxes collected. And whereas the Morrisville Borough Council desires to increase the salary of the elected tax collector of Morrisville Borough to $6,700 per annum, a salary which does not exceed 5% of the amount of borough taxes collected. So I don't know that it says anything there about mills.
Right.
It's the total collected.
Well, this is what the tax collector gave us. So this is the ordinances and the codes. So that's where I'm getting it from.
Okay?
So, you know what I mean? That's where I'm taking it from.
She
And
gets a
when
raise.
you look it
If
up,
taxes go up, she gets
under
a
the
raise.
borough code, it's a unit, that's what I'm saying, is the unit,
Give her another
the
raise.
tax mill, that's what you're voting on. So if it goes by the
Well, what
mill,
you're reading is not what's in front of us, so I don't know, you can't, yeah.
she gets, we all got this.
I
your properties are
understand
assessed every year. Your taxes are your taxes.
Right, but it goes by the millage, so if they're saying 5% per unit,
Of what's collected though.
not all. It's-
Yes,
it's
that's what
saying-
this says. That's what this says. That's what the resolution says.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, where'd that come from? Who drew that up?
Just
Sean
emails.
Cook.
5% of
Yeah,
1 mil.
Who took that from?
I guess borough code.
But anyhow,
Otherwise, it's
Again,
a
you know,
$50,000
keep
job.
it the same, I don't, I have no stake
We
in
don't,
this
we don't
game,
have to
I'm
do it
just,
at all.
you know,
just, again, that,
Offer 5,000 and be done with it.
think it was
You
step
can't do it
back,
for another 4 years, that's,
Yeah.
that's what the.
No, I know
ordinance
that, but
but it hasn't been increased in how many years, and the cost of living goes up. I really, I think it was based on, since it's never gone up since 10, 20 years, I don't know the last time they did it.
Ted has suggested
2010.
5,000.
I think that's a decent bump since it went up 500.
20%.
20% raise.
I mean, realistically, it's for the position, it's not for,
Right.
it's not for
Well,
the
yeah,
individual.
right.
you know.
Exactly.
Okay, so then somebody gonna make a motion for me to amend my motion from 6,700 to 5,000.
So then you gotta change the resolution.
Would you like to amend your motion?
If somebody has to make a motion for me. You're
You're
making a motion for
Wait,
me
wait,
to
wait,
amend my
let
motion.
Bob get it all in.
I thought it was up to you.
I'll second.
Well,
Yeah, but
no, it
somebody
goes
has-
back to the,
No,
I'm confused. You made a motion to amend the amount, which Ted has seconded. Now, would you like to amend your
Yes, I amend my
motion?
motion.
And
wait,
would the
he's still
second
writing.
He's still
also
writing.
be okay with that?
With the second, be okay.
I think you were the
I'm
second.
confused, what did I second?
A change in the dollar amount to 5,000.
Oh, I second.
So I change it to 5,000.
All right, who made the motion? Now Vic's still holding his motion on the table, right?
The motion holds
5,000. And who seconded?
Debbie. Debbie was the original second, and she has agreed. with the
Reseconded.
change. She
That's the
reseconded.
word.
Are there any other amounts that you'd like to throw out?
Please.
We have a roll call vote on the amended
You gotta
motion.
do a roll call,
To
yes.
5,000.
I'll read it again.
Okay.
A resolution of the Borough of Morrisville, Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Don't read all those numbers.
No, I'm just gonna read the bolded. So it's gonna be the motion and whereas. A resolution of the Borough of Morrisville, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, increasing the annual salary of the elected borough tax collector to $6,700 per, sorry, let me start all over again. A resolution of the Borough of Morrisville, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, increasing the annual salary of the elected borough tax collector to $5,000 pursuant to the provisions of the Pennsylvania local tax collection law, repealing all inconsistent resolutions or parts thereof, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Now, what we're going to need to do down lower is just change the 6,700 to 5,000 as well, under the third whereas. Yeah, I'm just saying what all is changing in this motion.
There's two, three areas.
Yes, I see a second one here.
Well, it has it in the parentheses and then it's written out, so.
Yes, yeah, so there's once in the top
Right.
that needs to change, once in the third whereas, and once in the now therefore. part one.
The now therefore is most important.
Hold on, I'm not still writing.
He's just finding the spots, so there's,
I wanna make sure that,
That's not it.
no, you're gonna have to stump it more than it's not.
Don't put too many zeros in.
That's why they spell it out and write it.
That's where they,
50,000. I'll take
So-
that, Jeff.
I've read the whereases, now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Morrisville Borough Council and is hereby adopted and resolved by authority the same as follows. The annual salary of the elected tax collector of Morrisville Borough until amended by ordinance or resolution of Borough Council shall be $5,000 plus actual and needful expenditures for printing, postage, books, blanks, and forms used in the discharge of such collection. All resolutions or parts thereof inconsistent with this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of the inconsistency, and the provision of this resolution are declared to be severable. If any provision of this resolution is declared to be invalid or unconstitutional, such determination shall have no effect on the remaining provisions of this resolution. Are we okay with that?
Read the last part.
Severability clause, yes.
The resolution shall be.
This resolution shall become effective on January 1st, 2018. Do a roll call or just a
Do the roll call.
voice vote? Roll call.
Mr. Cicero,
Yes.
Mr. Kerner,
Yes.
Ms. Chronicle,
Yes.
Mrs. Larison,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Pepitone,
Yes.
Mr. Sanford,
Motion passes
Mrs.
7-1.
Smith.
Sorry,
Mrs. Smith.
sorry. So the motion passes 7-1. All right, we're going. So, if there's nothing else we need to add to this agenda, and Bob doesn't have anything else to say.
Yeah, I do. Sorry.
Not another baseball game.
No, I just, well, there's a couple things actually I have to talk about. Tomorrow I'm going to the county, and on March 22nd, the Bucks County Planning Commission will be doing a work session at our location. What they're looking for is input from the community on where we see Morrisville going in the future and how they can help us. It's 7 o'clock.
3 years ago, we did nothing.
What date?
March
March
22nd.
22nd. So I am going up to the county tomorrow to discuss some of the things that they're gonna offer to us, hopefully. And I hope that we get some kind of answer tomorrow about a writer. So I think we're moving forward again with the county looking at us to help us. There's, when we're talking about CDBG funding, it's usually can come as high as $1 million. We need projects. Now, last year we did this, applied for the CDBG grant for the MRI. They didn't believe that had enough economic development. Pop, yeah, to the community. They usually want to see things when they spend the money that's going to create jobs, it's going to, make the community a better place to live. Even though it would come under that criteria. However, today I was at the Enterprise Zone meeting in Bristol, and John Hassanani was there requesting funding from the RDA for machinery for the new facility they're gonna build in Morrisville. So, yes, most likely, they want to start early spring construction. So I believe within the next month, we should be signing, hopefully sign an agreement. They're still in phase 2. However, after meeting the son of the owner, he's really looking forward to coming here in Morrisville, and wants to not only do it have business here, but he wants to be a part of the community. So we're looking forward to that. We've actually, through the RDA, have provided them the phase 2 project that they're going through now. So the land will be clear of any type of hazardous materials or liquids in the, like oil or anything that's penetrated the surface of the ground. So once we get the okay, we should be signing papers. They're actually, they're in, not partners with, but their meats come from Omaha, and they're shipped in orders. Like if you wanted a ribeye, well, the whole piece they send. So we're not gonna have slabs of meat hanging. Well, they'll be processing. Yes, I assume so. I don't know what the
Processing is just cutting those big homes into
yeah.
smaller homes.
so they're expanding every day. I mean, it's getting, they're being bombarded. They're, these new things you see on TV. It's called Blue Apron, and well, they're doing a part of that too. So their company is expanding faster than they can expand. So from what we're seeing is that once they break ground and we have a facility here, they should be a company that will be here for many years to come. Being that they were in Bristol for 150 years. And the former mayor of Bristol was there, Joe Saxon, and he was a little upset that they're moving to Morrisville, but.
Will we know when they break ground?
Oh, yes.
Before they, like the
Well,
Before the day before they break ground?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, can we?
Yeah.
Can we get enough notice?
Yeah.
So this way.
Well, I think what Bob White told me, they're probably gonna do a ceremony.
Do we get golden shovels?
now my understanding.
Well, so when I first came here, I said, has anybody ever had a foot on a golden shovel? Well, this should be one of them projects, so,
We did for the first
Habitat.
Habitat for Humanity house. There was no digging on the new one because they were building on the established basement.
I still think there's more
And they
work to
didn't have
be
the
done on
permits.
this, as far as the old landfill being covered, it still had to bring a lot more fill.
well,
That's part of phase two, I
that's
believe.
phase two. So
What they're working on now.
once they get, the DEP comes in and says, property's clear, clean, they will sign, we will be signing the agreement with them. And then, like I said, projecting next year, we should be in a lot better shape than we were from this year, so that's a good sign.
Just so everybody knows, we had a policy meeting, Corinne and me and Vic, and we went over the personnel manual that we got last year, because there were some things in there that I had noticed that needed to be addressed. So we were all in pretty much agreement with most of the stuff, I'd say 90% of the things that had to be altered. So Vic and I had met, I don't think Corinne was able to make it last Friday at Bob's office with what those changes are. When that gets retyped up, it'll come before the council to look it all over, to if you see anything else that needs to be changed, but he pretty much understood some of those things that need to be changed in there.
Mostly modernization stuff or a variety?
Yeah, there were things, there was a section in the back that, it had borough officials added in there, and we're not personnel, we can't be, we can't be in that, we're governed under ethics law and the code. So that's the personnel manual, we're not personnel, so any of that that was in there, was like 4 pages where we were inserted in, would have to be taken out, and just employees of the borough would be put in there.
So you are gonna have another meeting then?
No,
No, I think
Okay.
you got the.
All right.
I think you're gonna have it
We have to cancel
redrafted,
it March
with
1.
changes,
Cancel that one.
so everybody can see it.
It'll be on the calendar,
The March meeting.
the March
She's saying
policy.
If it's done and it gets distributed to the council, yeah, it could be.
You canceled that meeting, right, or no?
I canceled March 15th.
Oh, you did, yeah,
Yeah, I think we're gonna need it. Everybody's gonna have to get it to see it,
Right.
and take a look at it first.
And
It
then
has
we'll
to
let
be
you guys do
eventually
a good job,
adopted by
take
us.
that. Send it back to committee.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, I had it made and,
Another 7
Yeah.
years.
Can I just, real quick, I met with, the railroad company.
Big one?
Big one, yes, I did. I met with Amtrak. I met with the engineer for Amtrak, last week, as a matter of fact. Very nice gentleman. He understood our concerns. I showed him the wall that is on Pennsylvania and Philadelphia Avenue. He's taking it back to have their real estate department look at the wall and fix the wall. So Amtrak is going to fix the wall. I also let him know that those 2 corners were corners that we wanted to beautify. So he's going to talk to the real estate department on that and make sure that it's okay, because even though in the past it has been done with the wall the way that it is, I don't want someone climbing up there, having the wall collapse. I don't know if it would happen, but I don't want to take that chance and someone getting hurt. So I'd rather just have everything put in place. They also do what's called a buddy system. With an Amtrak employee, the garbage that is behind the fences on both Philadelphia and Green Street, it's called a buddy system.
Okay.
They would send a person out from Amtrak that would take us on that side of the fence had we decided to do a cleanup
Okay.
inside the fence. So that Amtrak person would be responsible for us if we decide to do a cleanup on the inside.
How often would you think that cleanup would need to be done?
It would only need to be done, I think, twice a year.
No,
I know it's
But it might be
it's more
something we
than
want to
that,
put on a schedule.
but getting a buddy is the hard part, having someone want.
Well, we don't
Be
go out and
there.
find the buddy, they,
It's Amtrak Amtrak's
The sign
It's
property.
has-
Amtrak's property, but if Amtrak is not going to send someone out,
Well, that's, why
every
wouldn't they
week,
send someone out?
or, you know, once a month to clean the inside of the tracks, because, like he said, it's not like someone is throwing the garbage out the train window, because the windows don't open. So it's garbage that people are taking and putting over the fence, or garbage that's going inside the fence,
Mostly blowing,
you know, things like that.
collecting on the fence.
But, I mean, maybe clean up 3 times a year, something along
Whatever,
those
whatever we
lines.
can get from them.
But I'm just letting everyone know that that's what it's called, a buddy, and they would send someone else. Now, he did, let me know that that one piece of area where the existing bed is, if you're going up
The
Pennsylvania
one with the
Avenue,
cherry tree.
yes. Amtrak would most likely be interested in signing over just that piece